When I got home from school, I found 2 identical pots on the stove. One was filled with big chunks of meat, while the other didn't have a single shred of meat left. The pot of meat was for my stepmother and her daughter, and all I got were a few scattered meat scraps. Feeling utterly redundant at home, I secretly vowed to leave here when I grew up. 15 years later, I became a famous entrepreneur, but my stepmother and her daughter still lived in that old house. Having tasted all kinds of delicacies in the world, what I missed most in my heart was the potato stew with meat cooked by my late mother. By chance, I heard about a small shop that could help people retrieve the flavors of memories, so I decided to give it a try. The shop owner's daughter asked me to describe that taste, but all I could remember was that my mother's stew was redder than others. It seemed impossible to recreate the flavor with just this clue. I had only planned to give it a shot, but when I visited the shop again, the owner said he had finished making the stew. I took a bite eagerly, but this wasn't my mother's taste. It was my stepmother's. Disappointed, I decided to get up and leave, but the owner stopped me, saying he wanted to tell me a story. He said that after my stepsister got married, my stepmother had lived alone in that old house. She had given the owner a notebook that recorded my eating habits from childhood to adulthood. My stepmother had meticulously written down all my preferences. When I was 5 years old, my birth mother fell seriously ill. Knowing she couldn't take care of me anymore, she handed this notebook to my stepmother. The stew was red because I didn't like carrots. My birth mother would blend them into a puree and add it to the soup. But by the time my stepmother took care of me, I had learned to accept the taste of carrots, so she cut them into pieces and put them in the stew instead. I took a bite, and it was exactly my mother's taste. The owner also said, about those 2 pots back then, your stepmother didn't put meat in your bowl first because she was afraid the meat would get cold and stick to the pot. She wanted to reheat it for you when you got home from school. She was never biased. She was just faithfully fulfilling your birth mother's last wish. Now that you've achieved great success, your stepmother is happier than anyone else. Every month, you send her living expenses, and she saves them carefully, telling everyone how filial you are. Overwhelmed with guilt, I said, I send her money just to keep them in that old house.